Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
I don't know. This thing then glitched again. Boom. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die podcast. This is your host, Mual, Jamal Forrest, man, in here with the fellas, AJ Dre. Fellas, man, let me go ahead and unmute. Okay, make sure we good here, too. Boom, there we go. Oh, that's on AJ. Fellas, how y'all doing, man, before we get into our guess?
It's Friday, man. I couldn't be better. Like, shit, this is what we live for.
The weekends, man. You got and no. Did you take off Monday? Because I know your job got you off on Tuesday. You ain't take off?
No, I wanted to, man, because you know that's crazy going to work Monday, then we off Tuesday. That's the 4th of July, one of the stupidest holidays, just because of that.
But we usually get them. What weekends? Usually, I remember being like on a Monday, like in terms of the holiday, like the federal holiday.
Right.
We usually get them like on a Saturday or Monday or Friday. I don't know, bro.
Yeah, if it happens, if 4th of July come on Saturday or Sunday, we get the holiday on Monday. So, yeah.
AJ, what's going on with you, player?
Cooler, man. Just chilling, man. Just waiting for several more weeks until we get football for real. But other than that, just chilling, man.
Your headphones working, bro? Your Apple products straight?
Nah, I ain't even fool with it after that day. I just left it alone. Like,
ain't bothering, man. Okay. All right. Look, man, in the building right now, virtual building. I keep saying it. I don't know why I say that. But checking in with us is Lynnell Willingham of 106.7 The Fan. He hosts 95% of the overtime shows on 106.7 The Fan. Lynnell, I don't know if you back yet, but if you are, man, what's going on with you, player?
I'm back. Look, I always do this. Whenever I get on with y'all, bro, I don't know what it is. My phone is about to die, which is crazy. So
you had to go scramble for that charger.
Wild. You had to go grab the charger real quick. But nah, man, I'm good trying to get ready for camp, man, because it's going to be crazy.
Hey, but listen, before we get into anything, bro, I was going to hit you up that day I listened. I don't know if it was yesterday. It was sometime this week, so it's Friday, whatever. But I'm listening to overtime, and I need you to dive into this context. Did you say the Commanders? You're not. It was something where you like the NFC is open to a point where like the window isn't just playoffs. You said you're talking Super Bowl out of the NFC.
Look, my hands are up. You caught me red-handed.
Hey, listen, man. When I heard that, my jaw dropped. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, I don't know what Lynnell is on, but I need to know what you were talking about. I mean, I'm here. I'm open to listen to. I heard the radio version, but talk to me about this window that you see Washington in.
Well, because you have a quarterback on the rookie deal, obviously. If it doesn't happen this year, first of all, let me jump to the conclusion of our conversation that we'll get to. I think Sam will do enough this year to prove himself to be the guy next year, right? But the one big takeaway I had when I was out there, OTAs and minicamp, this defense looks lights out. Like, to the point where, like, I don't want to get my expectations too high because there was no run fits. Like, it wasn't like you were just playing straight pass. Like, they didn't have to worry about run responsibilities. But on defense, they look so good to the point where I'm like, man, if they take another step forward, offensively, they're going to be at least a top 17 group. What they're doing out there right now and the way that they're even installing things and the coaching points are different. Like, you could just see from the get-go, like, Eric Bieniemy has his stamp all over this thing. And we saw last year getting JV-level quarterback play and the defense being inconsistent to start the season, they stumbled into almost 9 wins. So in a weaker NFC, I don't think the schedule is as daunting as people are making it because there are some teams on there that I think are fraudulent. like Buffalo. But I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. I think if they get hot at the right time, first of all, you got to punch your ticket to the playoffs. So once you get in, y'all know this, anything can happen. Realistically speaking, like who the hell would really want to play Washington in December and January, knowing the style of ball that they play? I think they have the formula to upset anybody. They beat the best team in the conference last year in Philadelphia, and they're still the best team. So I think they're going to make some things shake.
Well, Lynnell, I wanted to ask, to follow up on that. Like, how do you stack them up against the NFCs? I mean, I do think they can be better than the Giants, but as far as the Cowboys and obviously the Eagles, who everyone has as another Super Bowl candidate again this year, but how do you feel like they stack up with those top two teams?
I mean, on paper, right? Like, I think they could beat anybody, but for Philadelphia, I think the big difference between Washington and Philly obviously is up front along the offensive line and the quarterback position. But I don't know. I'm skeptical. Not skeptical, but I'm curious to see if Jalen Hurts is going to be able to duplicate his success from last year. He was damn near flawless, and the Eagles as a whole didn't get hit by the injury bug at all. So to miss that 2 years in a row is interesting. I think that may bring them back down to the pack. And then you guys know this. Once NFL defenses get a full year to look at what you're doing conceptually on offense, they can catch up to it. And I think a lot of what Philly did last year with their RPO stuff, teams are going to be able to hopefully match up better with that, and it makes their offense less effective. So I don't think the gap is as big as you may think it is between Washington and Philly, because I think defensively we may be better than they are, right? Like after the losses that they had this offseason in combination with what we've added, I don't think the gap is that big between Washington and Philly. Dallas is like the wild card of the whole group because they have the best player in the division to me, and Micah Parsons. So that is always going to make you one of the better teams. And I think they addressed their biggest weaknesses, which was the cornerback spot opposite Trayvon Diggs against Stephon Gilmore. And then they didn't have a real deep threat in this offense last year. CeeDee Lamb started to emerge as a number one. And Michael Gallup's healthy. I think he'll be fine. But adding Brandon Cooks, I think, adds another dimension to this offense that may make them a little bit more scary. But I'm curious to see how they handle the running back position. Does it make a whole lot of sense for Tony Pollard to all of a sudden assume a running back one role coming off the type of injury he's coming off of? So Dallas, I think, is fraudulent. Be straight up with you. I said all that to say this. I think they're fraudulent. I don't know. Dak Prescott going to have a lot of pressure on him this year because if you don't ball out, I don't think he's going to get that extension that everyone thinks he's going to get. And Dallas may shock some people and reset at the quarterback position.
I hope you're right, brother.
Yeah, me too. It'll make everything better.
I
think we're the best division in football, though.
Absolutely.
Outside the AFC North.
I think if there's one thing about this division, at least moving forward, is that it's going to be like from top to bottom, similar to the North, very competitive from all four teams. So that's going to be one thing. You mentioned, I don't know if this is, I know we talked about it off air, but you said that you were at all of the camps, the practices and stuff like that. And I think first off, I'm sorry, if you're watching this, hit that like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. If you're watching or listening on podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Leave a rating and review if you can. Back to this. You've seen those practices from Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett from the offensive side of the football. And when we start to break down this quarterback position, off the top, like Sam is in a situation like we broke it down at this point 1,000 times already. We're a couple weeks away from camp. It's a new opportunity for him. It's an opportunity that Ron didn't even see having for Sam. Once the season ended, he changed his mind. Here we are. Boom, he has that opportunity. When you look at his practices and you kind of been able to observe him, his mistakes, the things that he's doing good, the things that he's maybe even improved on in that short amount of time. What are your takeaways from Sam this spring and heading into the summer as we get ready for training camp? What are some of your observations now that you've been able to see him have reps and have days where his QB1 mentality and persona is standing out in practice and stuff?
So you always like preface your your mini camp at OTA evaluation analysis, but there's no pads, there's no pass rush for real. So it's a real controlled environment. So I want to preface all of it by saying that. But I think he handled himself as well as you possibly could, right? Like, I think what you wanted to see from Sam this spring is, could he handle the load of being the quarterback one? And they gave him every opportunity to do that. He took every single first team rep. And by the end of it, I thought it was definitely deserving that he got every first team rep. Like, he continued to get better each and every day. And it wasn't like huge jumps and strides he made each day, but I think the overall consistency throughout the spring is what stood out for me. What we saw in that one Dallas game with Sam that I think we all came away talking about it was like ball placement, right? Him putting the football on guys to where they can make plays after the catch. From watching this offense in the spring, they kind of started to tip their hand a little bit as to what their identity is going to be. You're going to see a lot of 3- and 5-step drops to try to get the football out of his hand quickly and get the ball into the hands of the playmakers as fast as possible. And I think when you're running an offense like that, you need a quarterback that's going to be able to give your receivers run after the catch chances. And I think Sam showed that all spring long. He had a couple balls pushing it down the field that even made you look like, oh, now this Commanders defense was, like I said, was sticky. So it wasn't a whole lot of shots he was able to take down the field. But I remember one play in particular, he hits Logan Thomas on like a corner route, and he puts the ball over the head of the linebacker and in front of the cornerback that's behind him. And it was just one of those wild throws. Logan made a hell of a catch too. And we'll get into him more a little bit later, obviously. But I thought Sam showed well for himself. You saw him trying things like testing windows to see like what his arm can do and what his arm can't do. I thought overall, like, for what it was, I thought he passed with flying colors. But like I wanted to go a little bit into their identity a little bit. I expect a lot of quick game, a lot of screens, and I expect them to like eventually take their deep shots off of play action. But they're not going to put this offensive line in compromising positions the way that they did last year. And I think that was evident from the get-go. Like, they are going to be a heavy screen team and a lot of quick game, and it's going to be on these receivers to make Sam look better than what he may be.
Yeah. I don't know if can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I was going to ask you, do you feel like Washington has done a good enough job of surrounding Sam Howell if he's supposed to be QB1 with enough talent on the offensive side of the ball, outside of, just wide receiver, but at the tight end position, offensive line, and even running back to be successful?
I mean, I've been very vocal. Like, they sat on their hands this offseason in terms of like addressing the offensive line. Like, that is the big caveat and question mark, because I don't know what the hell they're going to do up front. I don't know how they're going to get good looks in training camp, because I expect the defensive line to whip their ass every single day. So I don't know how they're going to get good looks. But the other positions, I think they're fine, right? Like, tight end, everyone was talking about Dalton Kincaid with their first-round pick. I would have lost my mind if that was the case. What they have returning, obviously we were considering Armani Rogers at that point. But even without him, I think it was very evident, like, the most prominent connection during the entire spring was Sam Howell to Logan Thomas. Like, if I was tracking receptions, I think Logan Thomas had more receptions than anybody all spring. I think he may be the sneaky receptions leader. Like, if you were looking to put like a prop bet up, just the amount of targets that he was getting was kind of crazy. Sam and him seemed to have found a rapport. I thought Cole Turner did a nice job as well, making some plays over the middle. The one thing that I noticed with Logan and Cole, they've got burst. And it was interesting to say that about Logan, because he's not normally viewed as that type of receiver. Like, we saw him in 2020 be a really good possession guy. And he made some run after the catch plays because he's big as hell. Nobody wants to tackle him. But what we saw in the spring, he looks a lot closer to 2020 than he has at any point since, man. I think he's actually healthy, and I think it'll pay dividends for him. The receivers, man, they got 4 good dudes, because Bieniemy was somebody that was being featured a lot more, and it kind of surprised me. He was getting a good amount of first-team reps as well. So they got 4 legit receivers. I think they got 3 legit dudes at the tight end position. And then the running back spot, I didn't understand the Chris Rodriguez pick. I don't think you should be trying to take snaps away from Antonio Gibson. He should be the biggest beneficiary of Eric Bieniemy coming over here, because I think he's probably the most explosive dude with the ball in his hands on the team. So finding ways to get him the football, but y'all know X's and O's. When you have 2 running backs you can play, 3 tight ends you can play, 4 wide receivers you can play. The personnel group is they're going to be able to throw at teams is going to be hellacious, and it makes it that much more difficult to prepare for them. They can come out in a 3 tight end set, clap their hands, and then Cole Turner and Logan Thomas will line up in the slot. And now you're in a passing formation. So they're going to be able to throw a lot of different things at people, man. So I think that'll help them out as well.
So basically, Lynnell, you basically saying we only need the quarterback position to show up because you are confident in the running backs, wide receivers, and the tight ends. We actually just broke down the tight ends, and our biggest question mark was it's incomplete. I mean, obviously, you've been to training camp and or OTAs and minicamp. Yeah. You've seen Logan Thomas, and we've heard good things about Logan, but a lot of fans were skeptical that he, isn't the same guy that we've seen in 2020. And then obviously Cole Turner, we didn't see him a lot last year, but as I mentioned on the last show, I loved him at Nevada. I thought he did a good job up there, and I wanted to see more of him last year, but I think he dealt with the injury bug. But then who's the third guy? Like, I mean, I know you mentioned 3 guys. I know John Bates is the guy, but is he really one of those guys you can count on in the passing game?
I think he's probably their best inline blocker at the tight end position, so he adds value that way. But I think they really got 4 dudes. Curtis Hodges looked like he put on like 25, 30 pounds this offseason and looks huge, right? Like he is in the mold of that wide receiver converted tight end and has length and the run after catch ability. If he can stay healthy, like I think they're going to find ways to use him in the red zone. Y'all notice, right? Like they have a type at the tight end spot. I know y'all got a type with y'all females. They got a type at the tight end spot. They want 6'6" basketball players that can go up and high point the football. And the one thing I will say about tight end and talking about Cole Turner, he impressed me so much last year, man. Because a lot of times with these young dudes, he's coming from Nevada to playing NFC East football. If you scared, it's going to be put on full display right away. Notice how he was the guy last year when they had their attrition at the tight end position, to where he's the one coming down in motion, doing these wham blocks, sticking his face in there. He showed his ability to be tough and work as an inline blocker. And that wasn't even his strength, man. Like, he is the best wide receiver on the team with that physical profile. Like, because they don't have anybody that stands 6'7" the way Cole Turner does. And I think him being healthy off the hamstring, like you saw it in camp, like there's some burst to him after the catch. So I think they're going to be fine at tight end, bro. Like, I really like that group a lot because they can all do a little bit of everything. Now, I don't think Logan can block worth a damn, and we saw that in the past couple of seasons. But Cole can block, Bates can block, and I think Hodges just has the mentality to where he's going to throw his body in there.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by your take at the tight end position. I don't know. I don't really feel optimistic about that position at all. But I guess we'll see as training camp starts and
I know why though, right?
Actually take place.
The offense last year didn't feature them at all. Like, for whatever reason, the tight ends weren't featured. And I think that's a part of why you heard at the end of the season Logan was frustrated with Scott, and we heard his wife make comments and all that. Like, that's why they weren't featuring the tight ends. Eric Bieniemy, they're coming out 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets. We had a 4 tight end set on the goal line. Like, they are making it a point of emphasis to use those dudes. And it shouldn't be a surprise if you see what they're doing in Kansas City with Kelsey and the boys they got after him. Like, I love Jody Fortson for them. Like, so they had some interesting pieces, and I think he's going to try his best to get the most out of this offense with the personnel that we have.
So let's play hypothetical here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we're into week 4 of the season. Sam Howell's a starter, but he isn't producing well. I think I said week 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say stats based off touchdown and interceptions. He has about 4 passing touchdowns and about 7 interceptions.
Huh? Oh, I'll stop you. If he throws 7 interceptions in the first 5 games, he's getting yanked.
Okay.
No chance.
I just want to know if you're one of those that believe that Sam Howell should just get to play the rest of the year, no matter how his performance is, or should they also be proactive in getting in a veteran guy such as Jacoby Brissett, if that were to be like the hypothetical situation where Sam is throwing more interceptions than touchdowns.
Well, how has Jacoby looked? I mean, I was just trying. Like, what was Jacoby? What was Jacoby looking like?
A professional, right? I think as advertised, like you saw his arm strength is legit. Like there was one play where he threw it to the back of the end zone. I mean, he threw it to the goal line, but it looked like he threw it so hard. My eyes automatically went to the back of the end zone. Like he has juice behind his ball. I thought he did a really nice job protecting the football. The only difference I see really between Jacoby and Sam is like Sam's a little bit more twitched up as an athlete, but Jacoby is like an effortless thrower of the football. Like he has some really, really nice throws. Him and I'm blanking. Him and Dax Miller had a hell of a rapport during this OTA session. I thought he found him on a pretty consistent basis. Him and Curtis Hodges were linking up a lot. So I thought
I think he done kicked himself out the junk, bro. Look, we'll keep it pushing until he come back. I honestly think, like, to Dre, your point, when you said something like Lynnell thinks the weapons around Sam Howell are intact, is really just that quarterback position. I honestly think, to add on to that, the tight end position needs the quarterback just as much as Sam Howell will need the tight end position. It is true, and we've discussed it in our last position group breakdown, that this group was just completely underutilized last year, and like the opportunities that they had were either missed out on from a schematic standpoint, or a quarterback who really stared down Terry McLaurin all the time. Like you don't really like it's an anomaly to have a quarterback in a system that like completely like both combined to neglect the tight end position. So I really just think that Logan, if he's healthy and you get a Cole Turner who's available, like you have at least your top three who are going to be solid for a quarterback, so long as Bieniemy is able to really honestly duplicate what him and Andy Reid was able to do in Kansas City. Like I think those are the two positions that need each other the most on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and that's why I said I was a little surprised to hear his observations on the tight end. It's obviously a pleasant surprise because that's what we want. And as we talked about, I don't know if the tight end group is bad. I don't know if they're good. Like we just haven't seen enough of these guys, in the last year or so to say what they are, especially the young guys. I mean, after Logan Thomas, I mean, you have Cole Turner, who's only played 1 year. Curtis Hodges, he came in last year as a rookie as well. And then John Bates, this is what his, I guess he's going into his third year as a pro, but we haven't really seen him utilized much in the offense coming out of BYU. So right now, I'm hoping that this group turns out to be something. But again, I just don't know because we haven't seen enough of them. But, with Lynnell, he has me optimistic, so I hope he's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, man. I just, I don't really trust those guys. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I think we'll really understand the offense better once these live reps start happening, especially when they have to go against Baltimore Ravens in training camp.
Yeah.
Having those joint practices is going to be a big thing for the offensive side of the ball, whether it be Brissett taking reps or how, no matter what, it'll be huge because even though I don't know what Baltimore's ranking was defensively under McDonald, but they have enough talented players.
I think they're in the top 10.
And they're pretty damn aggressive with their defensive approach. I think that'd be a great testament for how a lot of these guys will fare with their Eric Bieniemy system.
Lynnell, I think when you disconnected, we were talking about Jacoby and his connection with Dax and Curtis. But also AJ had asked the question after you were explaining how he looked at camp. He was explaining just kind of the backup, the veteran presence on that roster with Jacoby and being able to come through at I would assume that AJ was thinking we'd have a losing record at the time that Sam Howell is underperforming. But him coming in replacement for Sam Howell for the rest of the season, or presumably the rest of the season, is that something, I guess, I don't want to mess up his question, but I'm assuming, is that something that you can see playing out for Washington?
It was more so. It was more so.
Do I think it'll happen?
No, I think it's
go
more
ahead,
so
AJ.
me asking, do you think they will ride it out with Sam Howell no matter what the results are from his play?
Oh, okay.
Or might
Yeah,
they be inclined, depending on poor play, to bring a Brissett if this isn't truly a quarterback battle for Brissett to possibly even be QB1 week 1?
I think Sam going into training camp is going to be the clear number one, right? Unless he like pisses down his leg, he's going to be the starter. Like, I think they want to give him every chance to win the job coming out of camp. But once the regular season starts, the scenario that you were talking about, if he throws 7 interceptions in the first 5 weeks, they're sitting him down, right? We all know the position that they're in. They got to win. Like, despite this cute quarterback competition that they said and them going against the grain with their decision-making at quarterback, they know they still have to win. I don't see Sam being able to overcome that. And I think I'm going to start talking about this as we get closer to camp, like what his leash is, because I don't think it's particularly long. And I know that might contradict like their thought process because you want to develop him and we want to get a chance to let him be the guy.
They got to win.
You got to win at the end of the day. Now, if he's playing okay and they're losing because the defense is doing whatever or they're fumbling, and there are ways obviously with football to where you can throw 7 interceptions and it not be your fault. But like the scenario you're talking about is if he just straight up makes 7 bad decisions in the first 4 weeks that may end up costing the team, they're gonna pull his ass. I don't. There's no chance.
Let me flip the question.
I was just going to give a quick follow-up because we kind of talked about it before you came in. We started the show. I feel like we really don't even know how maybe Josh Harris and this group is going to feel with going into their year as owners with Sam Howell being QB1 and having a veteran and a Jacoby Brissett on the roster. So with you touching on having a short leash, do you feel like ownership could override Ron Rivera's aggressive approach in pushing Sam Howell to be kind of the face of the franchise or face of this quarterback position for the organization?
You're saying like once they get in?
Yeah.
I will hope that's not the case because that would just be more of the same, right? Like that's the reason we hated Dan Snyder because he was meddling with personnel decisions. But this would be kind of different because these aren't his personnel people. So I guess I would give him a pass if he decided to get nosy. But I don't think that'll be the case. And I don't see the scenario that you pointed out being likely. Like I know he threw that boneheaded interception against Dallas, but like I don't see him being that aggressive with the football to where he's turning it over. Now, the one thing I do worry about, and y'all know this, like the way X's and O's work, when you're running quick game, when teams start to get hip that they're running quick game, I wonder how DBs start playing these wide receivers. And then that's when you have the opportunity for interceptions, when they start sitting on these short routes, which I expect them to do after when you first play a good defense. Like Denver is going to give them hell week 2. I think that'll be tough for the offense. But week 1 against Arizona, like I expect the quick game stuff to be on full display, boost their confidence, riding high into Denver. But that's the one thing I do worry about when you run quick game is DBs sitting on routes, and then you got to find way. That's where double moves and things like that get worked in, and that's where your coaching and opponent scout comes into play. But they've got to do the best thing they could do possible to like be meticulous with their deep shots. Like they can't put the offensive line in the positions they were in last year.
Because we asked about the one hypothetical, but when you look at Howell's outlook for 2023, obviously, I actually think that you're right, and me and Dre talked about this before we went live too. Just I don't think that this. Well, I'm starting to see that this competition wasn't really a competition. And I think that Jacoby probably knew that it wasn't either. And because I think that he saw the money and knew that he was gonna make good backup money here, and like he may have a chance at competing. But to that point, the reason why I bring that up, they're gonna probably do everything that they can to this point, and I think that he may have a short leash in the regular season. So I think I agree with that. But I think to this point, even through training camp and preseason, they're going to give every chance to Howell to be that guy once that season starts. But throughout this 2023, Lynnell, what does if Washington were to renew, or even new ownership were to renew in Sam Howell after the 2023 season, what does a successful season for Sam Howell look like this year for that renewal to happen, for that year 2 as Washington starter?
Oh, that's tough. So I think,
but he gotta have something.
I think Ron and Sam are like connected at the hip as far as their like job security. So I think this could be like a Ron Rivera answer as well. For Sam, he's just got to show clear signs of development, right? Like we have to see him grow throughout the season. You can't see him making mistakes in week 9 that he was making in week 3. So I want to see clear growth and clear development. They also have to win, right? Like I know the offense has been the last 5 years, I believe ESPN threw up a graphic when I was watching the other day. The last 5 years, Washington has been in the bottom 3 in every offensive category, if you like average the last 5 years. So like the bar isn't particularly high for Sam to cross. Like he's just got to be serviceable. I don't even think the expectations are super high for him. With that being said, if he let's give a hypothetical stat line. I think if he goes 3,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, I think he keeps his job for the next year. I think that's enough to say, hey, look, this guy has shown enough to where we should give him an opportunity next year. But I think if his play is like average and middles out and you don't really see growth from him,
something that says future number 1, like for sure franchise guy.
Yeah, like he's got to show he's the guy. And I think this is a terrible year for Sam to have this audition. And I think Washington had this in their brain when they decided to go with this. I don't know if y'all have taken a peek at the 24 quarterback class, but it's like 8 or 9 first rounders in it. So you don't even have to be in the top 10 next year, it feels like, to get one of these quarterbacks. So Sam's got to show his stuff. And I'm just not really thinking about that. Like, because of next year's quarterback class, you've got to basically say, after watching Sam for a year, he's got more upside than the dudes that are about to come out. Because y'all know what I was saying during draft season. You better go get that freak that play at Florida. I wish that I still am upset about it.
We were discussing, Anthony, I would have been, that was the one dude I would have been cool with.
If they had Richardson in this offense with what EB is asking them to do, I would start talking crazy. Like NFC East winner by default. Because they're going to get – I think the offense is going to be much improved, bro. But I just wonder what the ceiling would be if you had a legit dual-threat quarterback. Like, Sam can run a little bit, but
he can't run.
A cyborg, bro. Yeah. Like, so it would be crazy to see. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's crazy you bring that up, Lynnell. Like, I definitely wanted them to go Anthony Richardson as well. But they didn't take that aggressive approach. But I'm even just curious with the fact that you know that you're bringing in a Sam Howell to be possibly QB1. Did you do a well enough job of surrounding him with talent, even in this draft? Like, you use your first 2 picks on defensive backs, and then you use your 3rd and your 4th round picks on offensive linemen that you plan on redshirting. So it's a bit confusing, man. Like, you really don't see teams that invest in a young quarterback and not put a bunch of talent around them, whether it be through the draft or even a veteran presence. Like, they don't have a veteran running back. They don't have – I can't necessarily say they have a veteran tight end. Yeah, Logan Thomas has been in the league for, 5-6 years, but he's someone who's adjusting to the position at playing quarterback his whole life. You got Terry at wide receiver, but Jahad Dotson is still learning the game. You're hoping that he can reach a higher ceiling. Curtis Samuel, he'll be used more so as a gadget guy. But I'm just curious about it. And I think once minicamp ended, you kind of heard those rumors of Kareem Hunt possibly being in the mix. And it almost makes you feel like maybe Eric Bieniemy is seeing that he's going to have to do too much teaching and doesn't have enough players that can also help push his scheme into these guys' head. Like, how do you feel about them possibly not being settled with their roster that they have in place right now and the additions of possibly a Kareem Hunt or Dalvin Cook to that running back room alongside B-Rob and Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Like I was very critical of their draft, like at first blush, because I'm like the clear needs on the team were up front. Like your defense was a top 7 unit last year. Like so to invest your 2 most richest picks at that position was kind of head scratching. But from being out there, like I think Quan is going to play a really big role in the defense as far as like, well, they're going to give him the opportunity to play a big role. We'll see whether or not he can handle like the physicality of run fits and things like that. But I think they're going to use both of them. So you technically drafted 2 starters. What I'm frustrated with is the lineman that they chose to go with. Like, I don't know what the consensus was surrounding Ricky Stromberg, but I heard a lot of good things. People were calling him like the center 2 of the class. So for him to be in a redshirt year, which is going to be because he was taking 3rd team reps the entire time, is going to be interesting. Braden Daniels, when I talked to Matt Miller from ESPN, like right after the draft, and I think we all thought Braden Daniels was going to get the chance to play left tackle, but he was like, he thinks left guard is the position he comes into and has a role at right away. During minicamp and OTAs, they were kind of flirting in between both. Like he had reps at tackle, he had reps at guard. I think we'll learn a lot more about the 2 rookie linemen when we get pads on and they do one-on-ones. I want to see them in that setting before I like really judge them. But no, I completely get your concern. Like if you look at the way the Falcons, for example, handle their offseason and what they put around Desmond Ridder, like you get an A+ for me. Like running back, you added arguably the most dynamic playmaker in the whole draft. You added your offensive line. You added.
And you already had Drake London. Like
you already had Drake London, right? You already had picks. Like they did what they were supposed to do. I think, and you may say I'm crazy for this. This might be my Ashburn syndrome speaking. Outside of the offensive line, if you had to like make a checklist of like prerequisites to drop a young quarterback in, I think Washington checks every box, right? Like you have a defense. I think the tight end room is going to surprise you guys. The running back situation, I think, is good. It could be great. And then I don't even look at the wide receiver core as just a trio anymore because I really am anticipating Bieniemy Brown having a much bigger role in this offense. I think he'll be the organic deep threat that they have, and hopefully we'll see more production like we saw versus Tennessee. But at the running back position is interesting because EB was coaching them hard, man, and him and B-Rob, he was getting that B-Rob. So, but B-Rob is the type of dude y'all can tell, like thick skin, love tough coaching. Like
came from that saving school, man.
Right, yeah, he was pissed off at times on the field because EB was making him do things over. And I love the coaching point, but I think it speaks to the bigger problem. When you look at the running back position in Kansas City, right? If you look at how they've handled it the past couple of years, you would think Antonio Gibson should be in line to be the starting running back. I think you need a back in this offense that has the skill sets of a slot wide receiver and a running back. And I don't think B-Rob possesses those catching out of the backfield qualities. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable going empty and lining B-Rob up in the slot. Like I know you have to because of tendency breakers and things like that, but that's not his strength. So the reason Kareem Hunt came up was because they have one do-it-all back. It's Antonio Gibson, but we know his durability over the duration of his career hasn't been there. So to bring in a Kareem Hunt, that makes sense because he's got that do-it-all package. If they get Dalvin Cook, you think I'm talking crazy now. If they get Dalvin Cook, it's a wraps, but I don't think that's a realistic scenario. That's why I didn't understand. First of all, I was upset that they drafted a running back, but this is before I had this train of thought. But then they go with Chris Rodriguez. Like, he's not the profile of back that you need. You drafted like another B-Rob to me. And you need somebody that can make plays out of the backfield. You need somebody that can line up in the slot. He had a fumbling issue the first half of his career.
It's Bieniemy's guy, though.
It's Bieniemy's guy, but it's like, all right, stand on the table for him. He got to make plays. Now I'm questioning Bieniemy. Look, so that's why I'm like, I never understood Chris Rodriguez.
But no, so I agree with you on especially the running back situation. I actually like the running back room, but I was one of those that wanted to draft a running back this year, but I didn't want a Chris Rodriguez type. I thought Chris Rodriguez was too redundant to be Rob. I was looking more a J.D. McKissick type of replacement this year, because we didn't have that guy outside of obviously Antonio Gibson who can do it all. But I do think AJ is kind of diminishing the talent that's around Sam in a sense, especially the wide receiver group. I mean, the wide receiver group, I know you like to limit Curtis as a gadget guy, but Curtis is a hell of a weapon on the field. field. I mean, he's a weapon that any quarterback in the NFL will enjoy. And Jahan Dotson, I mean, the national people are on him hard. And when the national people are on somebody like that hard, he didn't have like the, biggest, greatest rookie year, but you've seen the flashes. People are expecting this dude to break out. And we've seen the flashes as fans as well last year. Like, Jahan has star potential. Like, some even thinks he has even more potential than Terry. And Terry's a beast. So, I mean, a lot of quarterbacks will love to have that wide receiver room that we have. Like I said, the question mark, for me, obviously is the offensive line. We all have question marks about the offensive line. But the tight end group, which I said is incomplete, but there is some potential in the tight end group. Even if I think they're incomplete, like I said, I like Cole Turner. I do think he's like an extra receiver when you put him out in the field. Curtis Hodges, I mean, the guy, they were looking at him last year. He was talked up with Armani Rogers as guys that no one's talking about that could be something in this league. So maybe there is potential there, but I do think you could do a hell of a lot worse than Washington with the weapons that you have around Sam. The question mark is, can Sam take these guys to a level that we need to go to? I think Sam is more of a question mark than the talent around him. Because, like I said, a lot of quarterbacks will love to have the talent that Washington has right now.
I not only is Sam a question mark, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Eric Bieniemy is a question mark. I need to see if he could really handle himself as the play caller, because this is different, right? Like, it was talked about it. Like, I know he's involved in the meeting room, but when you're actually calling the plays and it's 3rd and 4 and you got 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter and that pressure is on you, like, it's different. You gotta show that you're about it. I think he will be, but I think he is like, he's the connector for all of this. Like, we know Sam Howell's an okay quarterback based on what we've seen. I think he could have a career being a legit backup or like a fringe starter. That's just right now without seeing anything else. It's going to be on Bieniemy to put Sam in the offense in the best position to succeed. Like, that's, to me, the big difference between Eric and Scott Turner. Like, I expect Eric Bieniemy to put them in position to succeed a lot more. But like I said,
pause right there for a second, because I was going to say, like, that was actually one of my questions. You stumbled into the answer, part of the answer. But like, one of my questions, because I'm sitting here thinking about, like, the responses about how the weapons are what they are in Washington. And that's not the part where I necessarily disagree. Like, I love the receiving core, the trio. I love the idea of Cole Turner. I like what B-Rob can do. No, because we gotta see it. Like, his off seasons are great. And I seen some of the stuff that he did on tape when he was in the games, but like, he only played 10 because he was hurt. Yeah. So I like the idea of Cole. But then you look at, what they did with the offensive line, and you have an unknown right now at quarterback. And I'm saying in my head, I really do, but I personally believe in Eric Bieniemy, but I'm not naive to the fact that I could be wrong. I think that's an honest thing to say in terms of him being a question mark, is that, like, you just don't know what you have in him. But my question overall was, like, this is a unit on the offensive side who were 20th in yards, I think, last year. And they didn't score a lot, so they were probably worse than 20th in points. And I think of, like, what is a drastic turnaround for this? Like, how much better is this offense under Eric Bieniemy? Like, does this automatically shoot to a top 10 unit? And I think that's probably hard to expect from a team who was 20th overall that's going into a new season with a new offensive coordinator who has new responsibilities. Not saying it's a difficult thing to just start calling your plays. You outlined some of the nuances that could be challenging. But then you also have a question mark at quarterback, and you have question marks at offensive line. Like, how much better can these guys go in terms of, like, from 20th to X, like, to a higher ranking in terms of, like, their efficiency? And sometimes that's hard to really expect the team to take such a significant leap. And I'm not saying that's where I am. Again, I said I believe in Bieniemy, so I think that this can be a top 15 unit, but it's a real possibility that these guys still don't get it.
I mean, that would be heartbreaking. It would be if they ended up not getting it. I think the type of jump we can expect. So they were 20th in total yards, but they were 27th, I believe, in total points.
Oh, 27th. So, okay. Yeah, I knew it was worse.
Yeah, they were lower in points. I think it's all going to come down to Eric Bieniemy, and I do have confidence in him as far as, like, what could be a realistic jump. So let's just say hypothetically they were 25th in total offense last year. I think they got to jump somewhere between 13 and 15. Now, if they do that, this is why I'm talking the way I'm talking. If they do that, I'm telling y'all, trust me what I'm talking about on the defensive side. If they can stop the run, which was like a question mark at times last year, like especially that Cleveland game, it really had me upset.
Yeah.
If they can stop the run, this will be the best defensive football, bro. Like with they're just in such unison on the back end that I think this defense will elevate them. So that gives the offense more opportunities. Like takeaways were the problem for this group last year. When you looked at the numbers, it felt like they had more takeaways than they actually did because the type of ones that they did were like game-changing takeaways. But that was a big issue for them last year. So if the defense can continue to hold up its end of the bargain, I think it'll give the offense more opportunities to be successful. But what Eric has showed during OTAs and minicamp, what's the old saying? Do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. Like they are honing in on the details.
I ain't never heard that one before, man.
That's a new one for me.
Football shit. But like their attention to detail, like people aren't just slicing it. Like I was tweeting, like while I was out there, and it's like, damn, I wish I could take video because I probably think people are gassing it. He is not playing with people out there, bro. Like, and that's my style of coaching. Like, normally you see that like in college, which is why I can see him ruffling feathers with somebody because he gonna coach Sam the same way he coached Troy Apke. Like there's no middle ground, there's no favoritism, and I love that about him. It's gonna be what I want to see is when we get to week 3 of training camp, second week of pads, does that mentality rub somebody the wrong way? Because I give you a little bit of insight, right? And every time I come on here, I feel like I get in trouble for dropping too much. So after the second, nobody. Now look, not in trouble, but you know they got the spotlight on me, man. They can't interpret what I say. So when it was after, it was after OTAs. It was after like the second OTA practice. There were two starters on the offensive side of the football that I won't name their names because that's job petty, and I'm trying to keep my little access. But they were like, "Man, what was Eric talking about? Like, how does he want me to come back to the ball? Like, it was just like one dude was basically venting to the other player, like, bro, how does he expect me to do that? Like, there's no way." So now that same player also was getting off during the 11-on-11 period. So take that with a grain of salt. But it just goes to speak to like, okay, it's cool to yell at dudes now when it ain't no pads on and everything is cool and we're in the honeymoon phase, but you can't be yelling at people if your stuff not working. That's what I wonder. Like, when does it ever reach a point to where his act grows thin? And I ain't even trying to call it an act, because he's just him. And I love the coaching style. I'm just curious. I don't think it'll happen because I think the team is made up of the right type of dudes. Like, they're just a bunch of young, hungry cats. Like, they don't have nobody with a lot of ego. And that's because their leaders are like the most humble dudes in the world. So they got a damn good locker room. So I think they'll be able to handle it. But it's going to get spicy at points during training camp. I expect a fight the first day of pads just because of the intensity level that they're practicing with.
I mean, I think they desperately need that. They've been able to just relax over the past couple of years under Scott Turner, and no one was holding them accountable. So it's like, if those dudes buck back, hey man, you out of here. Because unfortunately for a lot of them, they don't have guaranteed money and big contracts to where you can't move on. It's like they're in a tough position where they really don't have much say so. But
or maybe not even cut, just like bench until they get the bigger picture.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, like he's trying to get the best out of you, and we've seen it work at a high level with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, like Lynnell, you tweeted something during, it might have been OTAs, and it made me think that there was not an issue, but there was some back and forth between Eric Bieniemy and someone within that running back room. And I guess maybe you even kind of alluded to it. I mean, yeah, you said one of the starters, and they went off during it, so it made me think maybe it wasn't a running back, maybe it was a wide receiver. But I feel like Eric Bieniemy, being a former running backs coach as well, he's asking these guys to do more than they've been accustomed to doing, whether it be on a collegiate level or even take a Brian Robinson on a rookie scale last year. He wasn't highlighted in the passing game at all at Bama or NFL. I think he had 9 catches for the season. So how have you seen their like relationship work through OTAs and mini camps as far as them having to be more integrated in the passing game and running routes?
It's tested their patience. That's how I'll say. Like it's tested the patience of Robinson and Gibson. I'm not the only one that I think has said this, but there was a point where, and I think B-Rob even spoke about it during his media availability. Like he got frustrated during a rep because he didn't do it the right way a couple times in a row, and Bieniemy yanked him. But it wasn't like I'm throwing you to the side. It's like get somebody else here that can do it right. You're trying to teach them because y'all said it. Like that's why we were talking about Kareem Hunt. They're asking the running back in this offense to do more than what they were last year, to put it in layman's terms, right? Like you're going to, like when they're running flare routes, like you got to make sure you get enough width and you get deep enough. Like the little coaching points like that and honing in on every detail can be frustrating to a player, right? Like when you've been accustomed to doing something a certain way for so long, y'all know we're creatures of habit. So like they're trying to break some of the bad habits that the running backs have built. And it's not bad habits because Randy George's not doing his job. It's just the standards changed. That's the only way I can, like the standard has changed, bro. Everybody's gotten that one-on-one individual hard coaching from Jahan to Antonio Gibson to the offensive line as a whole. Like the one scenario I think you're talking about, Dre, or AJ was it was a screen pass during our minicamp, and the running back didn't wait for the blocks to set up. He just kind of got out in front of him and he yanked the whole group and was like, it's not the way we do it. We can't get it done like that. So this is after he already ran like 30 yards downfield. He called him back. So then they kind of like half step back to the huddle. He took the entire first team offense out. So that it's not discriminating at all with his coaching. And last year was my first time seeing NFL training camp, and I played college football, so I'm used to a certain tempo. My college, and we sucked, were practicing harder than what they were practicing last year in training camp. So, like, the tempo and the sense of urgency is different, which is why I think camp is going to be a whole different animal this year. Like, pads going to be popping. There's going to be high energy. Like, the competition level is just higher than it's ever been. But, yeah, I don't think if you can't handle it, like AJ said, if you're going to buck back, you got to go. Because nobody, my whole mentality would be, we went 8-9 with y'all. I don't need none of y'all. We only won 8 games with all of y'all, so y'all can all go. Honestly, that's the mentality I'd have as a coach.
But see, and what I like about EB's style is, I mean, even though, like you said, I do agree that, you know, if you're not winning, it's going to wear thin. But to me, it sounds like he really preaches attention to detail. You know, through all of it, it's like attention to detail. And I feel like that's been something that's probably been missing in years past. Like you said, he's pulling guys off a half-assed and running back to, you know, their spot. Or he's pulling guys for not, you know, running back to the ball or doing it the way or setting up their blocks. Whatever the case may be, all of that is attention to detail. But soft people are not going to take to that. You know, people who aren't used to that type of coaching, they aren't going to take to that. That's why, you know, you said he was on B-Rob and guys like that. And we talk about it. B-Rob is from the school of Saban, you know, Alabama. Those guys get coached hard all the time. So they're used to that. Like, I mean, I know Jonathan Allen, he talks about it all the time. He was like, man, we came from hard coaching. This is what we love. Like, you know, so you want to see that type of attention to detail and whether it works or not, because like you said, he has to call plays. That's a different ball game for him here. But I love the attention to detail and making these guys practice that over and over and over again. And the guys who aren't going to get it, they can go home.
Hey, so Lynnell, I know our time is coming to an end here, but last year was your first year covering training camp hands-on. I feel like Ron Rivera doesn't get enough blame for the offensive side of the ball being behind, because it's like it shouldn't be that much of accountability change if you have an offensive coordinator that's been there for 3 years and a guy who's only been with the team for 3 months. Like it's just like everyone is raving about Eric Bieniemy and his presence and his role in keeping guys accountable and doing things and trying to perfect things in the tempo. But Ron Rivera stick with Scott Turner for 3 years, provided him an extension in March of 2022 to continue calling this offense. And I just don't think that I don't think that enough blame is going to Ron Rivera for assembling that staff on the offensive side of the ball. And am I just being, I don't know, people call me a
man, we do. We Scott Turner should have never been hired. We knew that. He ain't never called no plays.
Also, but like, I feel like a lot of the beat reporters and even like the fans that might be on the internet and spaces, they don't necessarily blame Ron Rivera for sticking with Scott Turner for so long or even hiring him in the first place.
Well, he deserves all the blame because that was his decision. You put a kid in a grown-ass man's position. You don't get me going on Ron. I love Ron. I think he connected this locker room in a way that we'll probably never be able to understand because we're not in it on a day-to-day basis. But like the team really like loves each other. Like that's like not even an overstatement. Like offensive guys hang out with defensive guys and all that. Like I see them. So, but the decision making that he's had, not just at the offensive coordinator spot, but look at their plan at quarterback the last 4 years. Even this year. This is the dumbest.
It's
stupid.
Yes.
It's the dumbest. Excuse my French. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. There's no way you gonna he gets a pass though because he's a connector. And like I said, I've been out there. I ain't gonna accuse him of overworking. That's one thing I won't do. He literally.
And we know that man ain't doing shit.
You see my arms crossed? This is wrong the entire practice. Literally. He don't do nothing.
I feel like Bieniemy running the team more so than him. Like,
why you think they made him assistant head coach? Come on, bro. I think Ron, this is my bold prediction, right? If it goes well, if it goes well and the offense takes like a massive step forward, I think Ron Rivera is going to step down as the head coach of the team. He's going to move into a senior personnel role in the front office.
That's a good take him.
I'm about to say that's assuming new ownership likes him that much.
Well, if they win, they're going to love him. If they win, they're going to love him, and they're going to look at it like, "Whoa, he's taking a step back." Like
AJ can't stand Ron Rivera, so he don't like that.
No, man, AJ cut though, yo. I'm already hip, but nah, it's fair though, bro. Like the plan that I was doing a segment the other day, like DC Sports 30 for 30s. They need to do one on Riverboat, man. Like, what does he be thinking, bro? Like we really went with Ryan Fitzpatrick coming off the limping into the NFC's title. They came back with Ryan Fitzpatrick, bro. Like they was legit. Like that was their real live plan, bro. Like it's so.
That's because they struck out on everyone else. They couldn't. They could have
went draft. They knew they could have went draft.
They could have went draft. I don't want to hear that, man. Them ignoring the draft their quarterback is nutty to me, bro. Because we should have Justin Fields. Now imagine if we had his. You ain't be frustrated because now
I would take his mobility over like a injured Ryan Fitzpatrick and a mediocre Taylor Heineke.
And it was year 2, so it's not like your leash was short. You just made the playoffs in year 1, like. And I know like the way they handled Dwayne is like, it's nutty. Now I understand like I've heard like more and more like I've heard like he wasn't handling himself like all the way right in the building. But like, bro, that's your quarterback. Like, work with him. The leash he had was too short. I didn't understand it. They cut him after some stuff they shouldn't have cut him for.
They put a test in a game for him, bro.
Yeah, like what the hell is that?
Like I ain't never heard like the more time is passed on. Like I got it in the season, like later on, but I'm like, bro, you telling me you ran a test with your starting quarterback, your young starting quarterback in a game when you could have just helped him succeed if we're trying to win. Like what test are you worried about, bro?
Yeah, I never understood that. And then like when they cut him, if they cut him, some of the stuff I'm hearing about some other dudes, they should get cut too. Like I don't understand, and I guess. Yeah. As the season wears on, we'll hear more. I don't know what y'all privy to, but it ain't all peaches and roses over there. But if they win, everything will be hush hush. But let them start losing. All hell's going.
And now I don't think they losing too much, man, because you done told us too much good things about what's going on up in the mini camps and OTAs, man. I'm expecting 11 wins now.
Yeah, everybody's set except for that QB right now.
That was crazy. That was Doc Walker just tried to call me, man. I don't know what the hell Doc is talking about right now. But
Doc about to give you some quotes.
Well, hey, man, that's why I said people better hope that they get the hard knocks before regular season versus in season, or it's going to be ugly.
I keep telling you, give me that in season, man. I need the chaos. I need the chaos in my life, bro.
I just need hard knocks, bro. Give me some access. You know what I'm saying? We'll never get that type of access here, man.
They said they with it too, so like, come on
overall,
with it.
Like, am I too hyped? Because I got that feeling right now, bro. Like, and I used to get like this before I started working in like sports media, where I was just a geeked up fan. I just feel like they gonna do some crazy shit this year. I have a feeling.
I don't think you're too hyped. I do acknowledge. I think what you're mixing though is like a heavy dose of I'm waiting for camp to start, and like the more I think about it, the more excited I get about football. And you're mixing it with like what this team could be because of like the years that the past couple years that we've seen them. Is like they just keep coming up short, but they have something here, and like you're mixing the two. But I don't think that you're far off. I think that this is still hovering around that 7-9 win in terms of being a rational side of things. If you want to jump the gun because of Bieniemy, not you, but if you want to jump the gun because of Bieniemy, like a person, I can see them saying this is like an 11 or 12 win team. It's going to be impossible for me to say anything over 9 wins with Sam Howell at quarterback. Like it's just too much for me. I think I like Sam, and I like. I like the potential of this offense under Bieniemy. I said it a couple times throughout this show. I can't say with a matter of fact like this is going to be some type of renaissance in the start of something special with Sam Howell, knowing like he failed to that spot for a reason. Yes, he's learning and he's showing reporters in unison that he's growing in his practices. But I can't take that leap to say that he's a franchise quarterback after some offseason practices. I need to see more, and until I see more, I can't see more than 9 wins. I can see 9 wins with a very good defense and a solid offense, but you need more than that.
Hey, but Mual, it's because deep down inside, we all know when you sit back and really sit with the thought of Sam Howell being the quarterback of this team and how it happened, that this is so unrealistic and irresponsible of this organization and this head coach. And it'll play out.
Bro, are y'all seeing these Twitter notifications? My Twitter notifications are going off. Like ESPN is firing people left and right.
Oh, damn, for real?
I've been hearing
Steve
that,
Young,
yes.
Susie
I saw about
Colbert.
Jalen Rose.
Bro,
Jalen Rose got fired?
Yeah, he got fired too.
They need to. Like, I seen Keyshawn Johnson sign a 5-year, $18 million contract. What does
Steve Young still work for them?
Yeah, Keyshawn's not even a good analyst, bro.
Yeah, what does he bring to
Wait, Susie Colbert gone too?
Yeah, but they
what is
Steve Young
doing?
They slicing people.
Are they replacing people or are they about to shut down? Are they about to shut some channels down?
It's most of these people that are making millions of dollars and really not providing anything to the platform. Like,
well, they about to start hiring podcasters.
Like,
I'm about to say, man, look, we got to cross our fingers.
Susie Colbert, she's been with them for 27 years.
They need new blood, though.
Commanders ESPN thing. They just might as well bring Trapper Dive over, bro.
But see, so ESPN been causing.
Hey, no, on some real stuff, y'all, man. I'm trying to be I need to be a recurring guest, man. During the season, I need a weekly spot, man.
We need you.
First off, Lynnell, we need you to get we need to get a consistent schedule out of you, brother, so we can get you on a recurring. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Come on,
I'm here. My schedule is crazy.
I hit you up all the time.
My schedule is crazy. I know. But I'm definitely trying to perform more, man.
I was going to ask you, bro, like you were saying, are you too hyped? My first question to you was going to be, when was the last time you was this hyped? That's when I'll answer my question. Because if you say
then that's
like
when I'm
2018 or something.
The last time I was this hyped was 2022.
Oh, okay.
Damn,
I thought that was going to be nice last year. I really did not see Carson Wentz sucking the way he did. I feel bad. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
All right, let's re-ask it. When was the last time before 2022 you were this excited?
2016, coming off the division title.
Okay, so it's 6 year window.
That makes sense.
You know what I was about another question I was going to pose out. what is the likelihood that Sam Howell is a 4,000-yard passer? We haven't had a 4,000-yard passer since 2016. It might be one of the longest droughts in the NFL.
I mean, the trio's there to get it done.
Yeah.
You got the pass game there. You got the yak guys. Because you don't have to bombs away everything. Like, get the ball in their hands and let them get your yards up. But to that point, I can see about 37, 38. If that's what 37 like. 38 would mean that he is good enough. He doesn't reach that hypothetical number after 4 games. Like, he's just consistently solid or better. Right. And I can see 3,800.
But it depends.
I don't think that's a stretch at all either with his arm.
I think it depends on the offensive identity too. Like, what is going to be our identity this year? Are we going to rely on the running back core a little bit more? I mean, say they sign a Kareem Hunter or Dalvin Cook, are they going to hand the ball off more? Are they going to protect Sam Howell a little bit more? So, I mean, I do think it's going to depend on the offensive identity. But if they are passing more, maybe they're more confident in Sam, and it may be more attainable. Like I said, we do have 17 games a year now, so that's another game to add on to your stats. So maybe it could be attainable that he gets to 4,000.
I mean,
I feel like as far as the identity goes, it was just training camp, so we didn't even really see them work on a running game at all. But it's a lot of quick game, a lot of screens. The concepts are the same, but I think they're getting to them in more creative ways, right? Like, I think that's what the biggest Eric Bieniemy impact will be is, like, I think they'll run the ball as well, too, but I just think they're going to get to it in different forms. Like, you're going to see the jet motion, fly motion, things like that. Like, so I think it'll look good, man. Like, I'm expecting them to take a leap, but I'm going to say this, too. I think we should judge the preseason games more than what you hear coming out of practice. Because I don't know how they're going to beat this defense in practice. But if it might look ugly in practice, but when you get against another team, I think you'll see it. Because our defense is special, so it's kind of hard to judge them.
AJ and Dre, how much was we looking at that goddamn offense in preseason, bro? Specifically, both sides of the football against that Kansas City team. Like, we was on it, bro. Yeah, last year in the preseason. Like,
already knew what it was. Like, they didn't even look like an NFL team. Like,
no.
And I think Lynnell, like, the defense should be winning these battles because they've been in the system for such a long time, even with the additions of Emmanuel Forbes or Jartavius Martin. It's still a nucleus that has been running the scheme for a long time, whereas his offense is brand new. It's 3-4 months in and only a month in total of actually on the field work, in a sense. So, yeah, if they're carving them up in training camp, then you got a bigger problem with the defense. But, yeah, these preseason games definitely going to matter with it only being 3 preseason games. The first 2, I think the first game is against who? The Browns?
Yeah, I think the Browns and then Baltimore.
Yeah. So,
they got a good schedule.
Yeah, you definitely got to pay close attention to how the preseason games look and see how Sam Howell reacts when there's actual pressure around him. I feel like that was one of his major drawbacks at UNC. He doesn't do well off script and playing under pressure. And I think that's a major component for a quarterback to be successful, especially in this day and age. And you kind of seen some of that in the Dallas game. When there was pressure in his face, he wasn't really staying in there. So I'm just curious to see how it all looks. But preseason is definitely going to be a huge indicator for this offense, and especially for a young guy like Sam Howell at the quarterback position.
What I think, too, is they're just – because I agree. I do think because he's a shorter quarterback, interior pressure, I think, rattles him the most. But they're going to do their best to not put the defense in position of where they could get a pass rush. Like I used to play defensive end in college, bro. Like when you're going against quick game, like you can't really get a rush. So like I think they're gonna be running so much quick game that it's gonna be hard for him to really get genuine pressure all the time. And I think they're aware of that and understanding his weaknesses. But the other thing I wanted to say too, like during training camp and during these mini camp sessions too, like we haven't seen his legs on display at all because you can't really like that isn't the setting for him to show his legs off. I think Sam is more of a gamer. Like I think he'll look better in games than he does in practice. So like That's why I already know what's gonna happen. Like sometimes out there, everyone gets one narrative and they all hang on to it. But like, I'm not gonna like be quick to place judgment on Sam in training camp until I see him in a game scenario because it's just different.
Lynnell, bro, we can rap to you all day.
Yeah.
But we got to get you. First of all, we got to get you a schedule, man. I'm gonna check in with you. I'm checking with you the weeks we need you on, so we can figure out when we can get you on. But by the time everybody listens to this, matter of fact, let me get the plug in first. Lynnell, I want you to plug anything and everything that you got going on, boss man. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, it's at NELL_BTP on every social media platform. I gotta look at my schedule to see when I'm on next, man. I think the next time I'm on is Tuesday, and then I'm on 4th of July as well for the Junkies. So,
oh Lord, they got you on for the holiday. Oh, well, I mean,
yeah,
that's
I clean up every holiday. That's why, it's very good.
Hey man, but look though, congratulations regardless, man. That's still like you making headway, bro, putting your foot in that dough. So you already know I'm rocking with you, player. By the time everybody listens to this, this is the last position group breakdown for us. So we will be back come training camp. But in the meantime, we got film sessions, man, upcoming. Who is this? Ricky Stromberg week and Eric Bieniemy film session on the way. You can check out Cole Turner and KJ Henry on the YouTube channel right now. Fellas, AJ, Dre, we out of here, but we will be back. I think since we'll be back training camp, we'll start going live again. Checking with the people. But yeah, with that being said, we out here. Y'all boys be safe. Enjoy the break. And yeah, we out of here. Peace.
Damn, set, watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.